What happened at the Austrian Grand Prix wasn't just another race win. It was the moment Lando Norris delivered a performance so devastating that it forced Red Bull to wave the white flag on their championship dreams. The aftermath? Christian Horner himself admitted what everyone else could see. This has become a two-horse race, and Red Bull isn't one of those horses. But how did we get here? 2 weeks before Austria, Norris was picking up the pieces after crashing into his teammate Oscar Piastri in Canada. Critics questioned his championship credentials. His mistakes were mounting. The pressure was building. Then came Austria, and everything changed. The Canadian Grand Prix. Disaster still echoed through the paddock when the circus arrived at the Red Bull Ring. Norris had hit the back of Piastri's McLaren. In a moment of misjudgment, the collision ended his race and sparked fresh doubts about his ability to handle championship pressure. Team principal Andrea Stella later revealed the crash resulted from a misjudgment of proximity to the car ahead. The situation was complicated by Piastri's car being in energy recovery mode, meaning he had less power, so the closing speed was faster than Lando could have anticipated. McLaren's response to the crash proved crucial. Rather than pointing fingers, they focused on rebuilding Norris's confidence. Stella explained their approach. The conversations were all about the fact that the speed is there. He had pole position and victory in Monaco. When he touched the wall in qualifying in Canada, he was in line for pole position. He was the fastest car in Canada in the race. The numbers supported their faith. Even with his retirement in Canada, Norris had outscored Piastri 86-85 in the previous 5 races. The speed existed. The execution needed refinement. The Red Bull Ring weekend began with Norris making a statement. His pole position lap carried the biggest margin of the season. Both Piastri and Max Verstappen failed to complete their final qualifying runs due to Pierre Gasly's spin, but Norris's time impressed every rival on the grid. He never looked threatened for pole position. The race presented different challenges. Piastri's opening lap pass on Charles Leclerc's Ferrari positioned him within 1 second of Norris. The DRS overtaking aid gave him a 0.7 second advantage down the main straight. This created the perfect storm for an intense battle between the McLaren teammates. The first stint became a masterclass in wheel-to-wheel combat. Norris faced constant pressure in his mirrors. The defending required him to use battery power continuously, preventing full energy recovery. Both McLarens remained locked together through the opening 20 laps. Crossing the line at the end, that was the best bit, but there was plenty of fun along the way with Oscar. In the first stint especially, Norris reflected. Some close moments, some good battles. Just a lot of laps of looking in my mirrors out of turn 1 and all the way down to turn 3. Lap 11 delivered the race's pivotal moment. Norris made errors in the final 2 corners of lap 10. Piastri seized the opportunity, passing his teammate into turn 3 on the following lap. The lead change lasted exactly 1 corner. Norris fought back immediately at turn 4, reclaiming the position and control of the race. 9 laps later came the incident that would define both drivers' approach to their championship battle. Piastri made a bold dive for the inside at turn 4. His brakes locked. The gap closed rapidly. The McLarens missed contact by mere inches. Team radio crackled immediately. Feedback from the pit wall. The maneuver in turn 4 with the lockup was too marginal. We can't do that again. Piastri's response came after the checkered flag. Sorry for the move in turn 4. My bad. The Australian later acknowledged his error. Locking up and missing the back of your teammate by not a lot is certainly pushing the boundaries. Even if I hadn't been told anything, I didn't think it was a wise decision to try that one again. The near miss signaled the end of wheel-to-wheel combat. Strategy became the new battleground. Norris pitted at the end of lap 20. Piastri faced a crucial decision. McLaren presented two options: pit one lap after Norris and emerge 1.5 seconds behind with similar tire age, or stay out 4 laps longer, building a tire delta advantage but emerging 4 seconds behind. Piastri chose the tire advantage. The gap actually reached 6 seconds when he rejoined. Stella explained the strategic thinking. You have two options in that kind of situation. The first option is to pit right away, 1 lap after the car in the lead. The other option is to delay the stop so that you build the so-called tire delta. In circuits with high tire degradation like here, normally staying out gives you a benefit. The strategy failed to work. Piastri couldn't recover the 6-second deficit despite fresher tires. Stella credited Norris's second stint pace. I think Lando was actually fast in the second stint with the hard tires, and this didn't allow Oscar to capitalize on the fact that he had built this tire. Delta. Norris's Austrian dominance didn't happen by accident. McLaren had introduced technical solutions specifically addressing his struggles earlier in the season. The primary issue wasn't raw pace. Norris had been suffering from a lack of feel from the front axle, described as numbness or lack of cueing. This affected his ability to string together qualifying laps more than Piastri. Canada saw the introduction of a front suspension geometry tweak. The modification aimed to reduce the numbness drivers experienced. Norris adopted it immediately and used it again in Austria. Piastri felt no need for the change. Stella clarified the technical nature. It is to do more with the feeling that the driver has through the steering wheel in terms of understanding what's happening with the front tires. It's available to Oscar, but this belongs to the category of things which is almost like a setup option. The tweak allowed Norris to access more of the car's potential. His driving style relies heavily on steering feel mid-corner. The modification gave him the confidence to push harder in qualifying and race conditions. McLaren also brought aerodynamic upgrades to Austria. New front wings, suspension fairings, and brake ducts contributed to their performance advantage. The Red Bull Ring's characteristics, long, medium-speed corners through the final 2/3 of the lap, naturally favored McLaren's car concept. While the McLarens battled for victory, Max Verstappen's championship defense crumbled on the opening lap. Rookie Kimi Antonelli locked his rear tires and slid into the Red Bull driver's car. Both drivers' races ended immediately. The collision drew a penalty for Antonelli. For Verstappen, it represented something far more significant, the effective end of his title defense. The mathematics became brutal. Verstappen dropped 61 points behind championship leader Piastri. He fell 46 points behind Norris. His impressive point-scoring streak ended abruptly. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner faced the inevitable questions about Verstappen's title chances. His response carried reluctant acceptance. I think this season, the buffer that McLaren have is significant. It looks very much like a 2-horse race. For us, we just focus on every single Grand Prix, and you try and grab every opportunity. The admission represented a seismic shift in Formula One's competitive landscape. Red Bull, dominant for years under Verstappen's leadership, officially conceded the championship fight to McLaren's internal battle. Austria's results reshaped the championship standings dramatically. Norris cut Piastri's lead to just 15 points, reducing the gap by 7 points with his victory. The gap had looked insurmountable